You know, everybody talks about justice. It sounds like more like just dessert, meaning what everybody wants to eat, not what actually is. You know, everybody believes that just because two different races interact, that if things go south, it's automatically racist. Honestly, I don't think that's the problem. We're all human, and we should act accordingly. And when we don't, the person should pay the price. But making this about race causes riots, causes this protesters that aren't really protesting, they're only trying to cause drama. Because true protesters do not get violent like burning down police stations and public locations. They make a statement, not hurt people or endanger people. I'm sure it has happened from time to time, but that's not their main goal going out. I'm afraid for my child, not because of the police, not because of racism, because of people that don't know how to act. Those people burning down buildings and starting fires endanger everyone around them. How does that help with violence? Violence begets violence? Like, that's how this works. So, you're upset, supposedly anyway, upset because of violence, so you get violent. That sounds contradictory. And now, the message is being blurred by the new violence. I've been watching the news channels and YouTube channels and just channels with different video takes about everything. And you know what? No one's really talking about what happened to George Floyd. Everybody's talking about the new violence. So now everything is being drowned out. Like, if you want to be heard, you gotta be loud enough but yet quiet enough that it makes sense. You can't yell in my ear and expect me to hear every word that comes out your mouth. But you also can't whisper in the dark and expect me to hear you. So you gotta talk out loud, but not loud enough to blow my eardrums. So right now, the protesters that are destroying public property that has nothing to do with this, now we can't hear the true story. We can't hear the issue, because now it's about we need to deal with that. Just like George Floyd's situation interfered with COVID, because there was no more COVID on the news. It was all about George. And not to say that it shouldn't be, but violence blocks out all kinds of things, and it doesn't get your message across. And it almost seems like it isn't the protesters protesting what happened to George. It seems like it's other people taking the opportunity to commit violence just for the fun of it, or to make it become a race war. Because the regular protesters that are just protesting aren't the ones making all the noise. They're the ones making all the sense. So it seems like, I don't know, opportunists taking an opportunity. There's a group of people protesting that they can cause drama and nobody can see them because they're in a crowd of people. I think it's just blind ignorance is what it is. And people just want drama. The protesters are protesting a thing, a very important thing, that, yeah, the police officers should have been arrested just like I would have been arrested if I was the one. There would be no 4 days, there'd be no 4 hours. If a police officer saw me, I would have been arrested on the scene, not arrested 4 days later, and then face whatever accusations and find a lawyer. So that's right. I understand people's anger with that, and I heard that clear as day. But as soon as they started, the people that started blowing stuff up and burning shit to the ground, I can no longer hear the real message. All I hear is I need to keep my children inside because they may get lit on fire, or they might get blown up or ran over or something bad might happen to them. That's not what happens at protests. The Million Man March, they made it there. Didn't have to burn things and kill people or hurt people or put people in danger. So this should be no different. So those who want to commit violence, I think that's very ignorant. You want to scream at the top of your lungs and noise pollution, but no one's going to hear you. You want to scream at the right volume to be heard, say the right words. I'm there to listen. And some stuff I've been able to hear, and though I've been listening pretty hard, some stuff I can't hear because it's too busy being drowned out. My son saw the news and started crying. He's like, why do people have to be so mean? And I said, it's human nature to be one thing or another. And some people let that nature get uncontrolled, and they take that power and they put it to the wrong use. But that's not everyone, baby. That's not everyone. There's people out there that would do completely the opposite. Would not commit violence just because they can, or because they have the authority to do so, or the authority to cover them for doing so. I wanted not to discuss this, but when my son started crying and asking me questions about this, I had to say something. I wish my brothers were here to chime in, but they're unavailable at the moment. I know there shouldn't be a pause in this, but I was replaying the video in my head and I saw no sense in it at all. He looked right at the camera and saw nothing wrong with what he was doing. Me, if I would have been doing that and I saw a camera on me, instinctively I would have twitched and lifted my leg up just to make it look like I didn't do something on camera. He didn't even flinch. He sat there, looked right at the camera, and left his knee there. It's like, okay, dude, really? You want to be videotaped doing this? And I'm not going to be a conspiracy. I'm not going to make this into a conspiracy. But it was a little funny that he didn't flinch when he saw the camera. He just looked at it like, okay, that seems a little, I don't know, stupid. Like when you see the cops, you put the gun away. You see the cops, you run, you avoid. The cops are no different than a camera. The cops are a camera. If a cop sees you commit a crime, he is the camera. He is the witness to that crime, just like a camera. So this dude looked right at it, and I would have been mortified if he would have smiled, but he didn't. He just looked at it like, okay, record me. I'm not doing nothing wrong with my knee on the back of his neck, forcing his throat to the ground as he's begging for oxygen. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. People make mistakes, I understand that too. But that seemed intentional, not to kill him, but intentional to hurt him, to almost teach him a lesson that he was the authority and you're going to pay. Kind of like a big brother does to a little brother, but this one was a little bit more intense. My brothers choked me when I was a kid, but after a certain point, he let go. He didn't go, oh, let me hold on to you until you go unconscious. This guy seems a little bit more intent on forcing that hold. Do I justify any of this? No. The protesting, completely justified. The destructive people, I don't consider those protesters. Those are criminals. And they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. I mean, if they were doing this outside protesting, meaning there was no protest or nothing to protest, they'd be in jail. Protesting is not illegal. You are allowed to protest. You are not allowed to destruct. So to me, any so-called protester or protester committing violence, not defense, violence, is a criminal, not a protester. I know I'm far-fetched from the person who should be talking on this because, yes, I am white. And yes, he was white. And yes, he took his privilege too far. I admit that 100%. And I admit that he used his white police privilege wrong. But it shouldn't be about that. It should be about just life. It doesn't matter if that man was black or white, or he was black or white. That was unnecessary. To harm someone for no good reason is ridiculous. And the fact that race is on the table, it's very upsetting. Now, I know I live in a fantasy world in my head that, racism will eventually go away. But we all know that's not going to happen. Gotta have hope, right? That one day society will wake up and go, you know what? Because you're white, because you're black, because you're Chinese, because you're Spanish, that's irrelevant. Your character is what matters, not your origins. Your origins matter to you, so you know who you are and where you come from. But your actions today make you who you are, not the actions of people before you. And it's just very frustrating, because I want my son to grow up in a world that he's not afraid of. And right now, he's even more afraid than he was before. I don't think that's fair to him, to anyone, but especially the children, that we instill fear because we are ignorant as a human race. There's an old sentence I was taught a long time ago. A person is smart, but people are stupid. And I truly believe that, because when one person has a thought, its clarity is so clear. But when it gets together in a group and everybody's got their opinion and it gets mixed up, that theory goes right out the window, and it becomes full of hate and anger because somebody else threw a cookie in the box that didn't fit. I guess it just falls back to, can't we all just get along? Out the window. Anyone who's listening, thanks for listening. This has been another Raw Truth with BX Bad Boy.